With the NFL coming to a close, it is officially NBA season, so I'm going to be breaking down the top prop bets today in the NBA and both PrizePicks and Underdog. Let's go and get into it. Alright, so getting into it, guys, we aren't getting any fancy score props just yet, but we are getting a Kyrie Irving discounted square, which is kind of interesting going against Dallas. We don't know for sure that he is still going to be that big factor that, prior to the trade. Now, I'm going to assume he's going to be like 21 points against Washington is definitely plausible. But what I mean by that is, they made a trade. They got Daniel Gafford, they got PJ Washington, players that could slightly to the usage, at least right away, or something like Kyrie Irving. But no, that's going to be a good prop bet. We're going to be using that. Obviously, you should be able to get only one game recently where he didn't. Going against, and then just looking at the best prop bets that we are currently getting on the board, you guys can see not the best. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the game-by-game breakdown, though, so let's go ahead and start out first. That's going to be Philly versus Cleveland, and you already saw one of the better prop bets is going to be Evan Mobley for over points and rebounds. We can see that the Sixers are going to be pretty banged up as well. So Cleveland big should be able to have their way against Philly with Paul Reed being there. They're really kind of struggling defensively against opposing bigs. Typically speaking, with Philly as banged up as they are, I would want to be targeting some of their players. Maxey should be in for a good spot. Harris should be in for a good spot, and Kelly Oubre. But given that matchup with Cleveland, it's not the easiest matchup. And so looking at it, like Evan Mobley has been someone I've been telling you guys to jump on because, well, the data has not caught up. Data that Vegas is using has not caught up. And what I mean by that is, his average minutes throughout the season his minutes have been slowly trending upwards, and he's been able to take advantage of good matchups. We can see you're going to get around, I would say, 28 minutes, 31 minutes, but that should definitely enough. I mean, he's been able to take advantage of us. Really, I just don't get why they haven't bumped this up a little bit more. Like, I'm not saying it needs to be crazy, but probably should be at 26. You can see it started at 5. Projection data has it set at 26. So overall, that is going to be one of the better prop bets I think we're going to get today, but especially this game. And then from there, not too much that I exactly love. So let's go ahead and take it at. And so looking at Philly, I do, again, just want to call it that this is going to be a more difficult matchup for them. Maxey is someone, though, that I do expect to have a decent game, but again, it's going to be a tough matchup. I don't know if we exactly going out and target any of these guys. I just want to show you kind of the production that they've been having. Harris has been getting up a lot of the absence of them being expected. And then Kelly Oubre, he is very much hit or miss. He's going to be dependent shot, but with him playing a lot more, actually, I know DraftKings has it set. He's been playing a lot more of the power forward, and so with that, his rebounds have actually went up. You can see his average rebounds from 4.5. Recently, it's been much higher. And so looking at the profits that we're getting, it makes sense why data would actually under a 5.5 pretty significant, as you guys can see. I do think this has a great chance to push. Do we need to go out of our way to target it? No, but I don't mind it. With the minutes that Oubre's been getting over 1.5 threes as well. So I don't mind. Those are two that I could certainly talk myself. Do we need to go out? Not necessarily. Looking at the Pacers versus the Hornets, not exactly a game that I feel like you need to target or say. Now it is a higher game, but there is issue with the spread. 10.5 points. Now Brandon Miller has been someone I was saying really has been getting disrespected by the books for some game, which I would say PrizePicks is still doing that. This is kind of their cop-out, guys, that they don't know what to do with Brandon Miller today by not giving him a normal line. They're only giving us Demon and Goblin props, which we'll see what it comes out. He is someone that, the pace-up spot, you expect him to have a better game. Memphis was just kind of a weird game. Everyone was kind of inactive. It was a very low game. Milwaukee, a tough matchup, but going against Indy again, he should be able to get that over of 24.5 or the Goblin, but I don't feel the need to go out of my way to target that. Nick Richards is someone that I would expect to have a good game tonight against the Pacers. He is just someone that's going to have to get a lot of minutes. And then I do want to call it with Miles Bridges as well. Definitely interesting here that Underdog has it at set at 37 PRA, whereas PrizePicks has it set at 37.5. Worth calling out, but I don't bet anything there. Looking at the Pacers, I do think it's worth calling out that Halliburton has been getting a little bit more run, 30 minutes in his last game. Okay, and that game was somewhat of a blowout. The assists are still there for him, and this is going to be a good matchup for him. So if he does get a lot of minutes, he should be able to crush. Really, points and assists is probably what I'm looking at for him. But we can see rebounds at 3.5. Maybe PRA for him as well. Points and assists or PRA with. Do I need to go out of my way to use that? Miles Turner has been someone that actually has a lot better recently. And with Jalen Smith being out, I would assume that he is still going to get around 30 minutes. That's always been the biggest issue with Miles Turner is how many minutes can project him to get. And so if he does get 30 plus minutes in this matchup against Charlotte, he should be able to crush. He should be able to easily get 9 rebounds, honestly. I don't mind that. If you wanted to do maybe fantasy score once that comes out, I don't mind that. We can see his steals is set at 0.5, about 52% chance for that to hit. So obviously that would help his fantasy score steal. Jumping into the next game now, we have the Bulls versus Patrick Williams being out is somewhat interesting because where are they going to still? Caruso's game time decision as well. That could actually mean that Kobe White gets a little AO, maybe for the most part. I don't like any prop bets for Chicago. Looking at Atlanta as well. Clint Capella is still out, so Anika has been someone that has been producing just with the minutes that he has been getting, but Atlanta's going to be. And so with that, I just don't think there's going to be that many prop bets in this game on target. If Alex Caruso is active with Patrick Williams out, he should be able to get this over 75. That's what the per 36 production would say. It's about 19.75 with Patrick. If he does get 30 plus minutes, should be able to get that over. Kobe White is someone that, if this game is going to be as high scoring as Vegas thinks, should be able to get his over PRA. He is someone that is just playing 8 minutes. Okay, and let's say Caruso sits. That's just going to lock in his minutes even. We can see his points and assists is at 29.5. Wanted to run that out instead. You could. Tomorrow I don't exact. And then Vucevic, I just don't feel the need to go out of my way to target. Well, let's take a peek at it. So for Atlanta, Jalen Johnson, a really good booster, but that was with Atlanta being kind of banged up, and he still has boosting. Don't get me wrong, but it's going to feel a little bit more hit or miss tonight. But still, points and rebound 4.5. That does feel too low. You can see over his past 3 games, for his past 5 games, he's gotten 3 out of 5. Now Chicago, not the best matchup. Don't exactly love that, but not terrible. DeJounte Murray, his points does seem to be slightly too low, but the projection data doesn't agree with that, so don't really. Well, let's go ahead and jump into another game. And so the next game that we have should be a game that we should be able to target. The Spurs versus Toronto. It's going to be a close game. It's relatively high scoring. No one's really too banged up as well. Obviously, Toronto trades. The Spurs, not too much though. So the biggest question mark we have is how many minutes is Joachim Poeltl going to get, because they traded Kelly Olynyk, kind of a similar-ish, kind of a bad take, but kind of a similar-ish player to Joachim Poeltl. And so looking at it, we are seeing that the under for Joachim Poeltl for 9.5 rebounds is one that's kind of popping up. Underdog has bumped that down to 9. The biggest question is going to be his minutes. He is projected to get 29 minutes, so if he does indeed get 29 minutes, then I do want to bet the over. Same thing with his points and assists at 13.5. That's just vastly too low if he is getting 30 minutes. Or so, 29, I guess is what it says. But you guys get the point. If he's playing that much, he is a type producer, but I just don't know if we can bank on that. Again, another line that I like, and this is one that I probably like on Underdog, it's just we are betting on the minutes. We know he's a type producer, and he gets a great matchup against the Spurs. That is something. His former team, some people like to buy into that narrative. I think that's a little bit too, but still, the point remains that I do like his over. What we are seeing here, guys, is that I do think we have a good stacking opportunity in this game. We got RJ Barrett for his points. That's one that's kind of popping up. We got Quickly for his points and assists. That is one that's popping up. We've got that Barrett for over points, rebounds, and assists. That's also a decent one. Gary Trent Day likes the over. So we do have a lot of bets that correlate well. Day is kind of mostly the same thing, where it's telling us we got a lot of players in a lot of good spots. Now, I do think it's worth calling out Joachim Poeltl had decent just trade for Kelly. In the last game, Olynyk did get a lot of run, but you saw that game was a blowout. So tough to say for sure. He is someone that maybe just gets fits in this game. I do think RJ Barrett has been buried, but really since he was a much better matchup to be able to go off as well. Much better matchup. I expect him to be someone that is just playing heavy minutes now. Dennis Schroeder is no longer there, and so I kind of expect him to get more than 10 shot attempts. And he is someone that has closer to 38 minutes in game post. So yeah, I do like the idea of stack Toronto player going against the Spurs. And now looking at the Spurs, I would want to run it back with someone from San Antonio, but I feel like the props that we are getting are all too. We'll say Wemby has been someone that's been playing a little bit more minutes. And it's funny, he hasn't been able to get his PRA with that. It's increased lately, but look at the matchups. I mean, none of these matchups would have been matchups that you would have been excited to bet this. So now you get a matchup against Toronto, which is a much matchup. I mean, look at guys. Brooklyn, the most difficult. Miami, also one. Cleveland Bigs, also one of the most. So this is going to be a better spot. And assuming he's still getting around 30 minutes in a game that's projected to stay close, that's the big caveat this game does. I do expect. All right, moving into New York versus Houston. New York is still without Mitchell Robinson. They're still Randall. They're still without OG. Harden's team, we got to see if he's going to play. If he sits, Precious is going to be running 5 in that game. Sengun, a game time decision does change a lot. Well, and so until we get that news for Sengun, I don't know if it's exactly worthwhile to talk Houston. He's going to change a lot. Jabari Smith Jr. would get a little bit more run. He should be more productive in the last game for Houston. That game was a blowout though, so that hurt. But he is someone on paper should be able to produce. Looking at the next side, we'll say if Hardenstein is going to be active in this game, 18.5 PRA does seem, especially if we get news that Sengun is out. He is some 33 plus minutes per game. That is something that is obviously something we love. 30 plus minutes. For him to get over 18.5 PRA, that seems super easy, especially if saying that just increases his match. Precious has been someone that they've been running out 30 minutes or so as well. I'm a little bit surprised that the average force rate is at 5 minutes favoring the under. Given the amount of minutes he's been with the question as Isaiah Hartenstein, now we are getting props. That tells us that he's probably, but if you were to sit, that seems like pretty decent to get in there. Josh Hart for over points. If you guys like that, got it. And now moving on into Denver versus Milwaukee. We do need to get news on KCP and Mike Jr. Naturally, if players are out, Jamal Murray's going to get a slight bump in his usage production as really getting. I do think it's worth calling out that Chris Middleton is out. And so it's very difficult to like give you guys the per 36 production with Chris Middleton off the court thus far this season, just because Doc is there as the coach now. It's difficult to predict his minutes because he likes to run vets out for a lot of minutes. Like Jay Crowder is someone that's going to get a lot of run. But with Chris Middleton off the court this season, it has actually been Damian Lillard that has really been dominating usage. Got a 7% bump usage with Chris Middleton. His per 36 production with Chris Middleton, 29 points, 4.6 rebounds. Okay, so that stays about the same. But 7.2 assists really just gets a big bump in his points per game and also his usage. That's the biggest thing. 31% usage. This is just, but averages 47 fantasy percent. So given the matchup with them, that he was okay against them. I expect him to have a little bit of, but he is someone that I think will. And also, guys, if there's any player that's injured, got the Q tag like Lillard with the All-Star weekend, there's two ways you can look at it. One, it's All-Star weekend's coming up. They're going to have a long break, but Damian play in the All-Star game. I kind of expect him to be good to go. At the same time, like, there's just a lot of weird stuff. Maybe a player can sit out a game and get extra rest forgotten because why not? You can sit out a game, 10 days off for rest. It makes sense. I don't think we have to worry about that today, but it's, I thought worth noting. And then just looking at the prop bets of the game, I really want to see this. I mean, this seems to 35, 5 PRA, average 29 or 60 attack on 10 for his rebounds and assists. Should be able to clear that. But his points still being as average to me, that's interest. I would, again, if this game stays close, I think he's going to be able to get this over pretty easily. I know looking at his game log, it's not that sexy, but again, per 36 production with Lillard Middleton off the court suggests that it's over. And tack on the fact that Doc does like to run his 38 minutes, his vet Lillard should be able. From there, though, like Jay Crowder over turnovers, maybe he is playing. Be honest, that. I feel like the rest of the prop bets that we would be getting Bucks PrizePicks. Now, I do want to call it that if this stays the same as for his points, we can see the average has is basically set at 12, so it makes sense. PrizePicks and Underdog would be putting in the middle of it. He is someone that probably will get 36 plus minutes again. Doc likes to run his that's our extended run close. So if that happens, should be able to get this over. Not a terrible. Then on the Denver side of things, are getting prop bets for both KCP and Junior. Again, they could sit. That's where maybe one of them does sit to get extended time off through All-Star bank count. We are getting Jokic for PRA at 47.5, 52% chance to hit. That's okay. Really, what I would want it mostly be in the game. If I wanted to bet on KC or sit, then Jamal Murray for points and rebounds would see prop. Dame Lillard defense there as well. Not that idea. Aaron Gordon would be something. We get news that MPJ sits. This line would seem way too high. I would imagine that. So obviously it's gambling, but you could take a gamble. MPJ being inactive is very prop. All right, so we got about 3 more games here. Pelicans versus Memphis. 2 teams that honestly right now I just feel given the injuries that we have, that we're waiting on, like Zaire Williams, if he's active, that really changes who we want to be on for Memphis. Rose, if he's active with this. I don't know if Zion's going to sit or not. 9-point spread there to me is a little bit fascinating. And let's just say, I know they're more likely to sit, but let's just say Vince Williams were active, or both of them were active. Then this line that we're getting for John PRA would be too high at 5, so just something to mind us to. Aldama per 36 production would suggest that be able to get this. But again, it's a weird sample size with all the Memphis players. How do you really get a good sample size? 60 minutes. He averages 50 points per 36, so not some. Strangely, we are getting prop bets for Vince Williams Jr. even just so likely to sit. So, and I don't know if we really. I think one of the more interesting games I would say is going to be Washington versus Dallas, and I said Daniel Gaff revenge game there going against his former team. We have no idea how many minutes in the first game for Dallas. He only played 17 minutes, but he had a good game. I mean, he really went off in 17 minutes. That game was a blowout pretty much right away. Now Maxey has been playing better as well for Dallas. I think that is definitely, it's like he finally pressure. So tough to say for sure. But again, the game was a blowout. We have no idea how many minutes Gafford's actually gets. Really would have loved for that game to stay close so we'd have a good indication of what's going to happen. PJ Washington played 24 minutes in that game. Again, we have no idea what that was. They had Super Bowl off, kind of 2 days to maybe mesh with the team better. Tough to say what's going to happen. Now looking at the prop bets that we are getting, this is Kyrie with his discount has a 60% chance to hit. Again, not as great as you would want it to be, but still, obviously we can get any prop bet at a 60%. For what it's worth, his original line, the data still likes the over, 51% chance. Well, 25, I guess, at 50-50 split, but still, not terrible. Yeah, this one's interesting for Luka. Rebounds and assists at 8.5. Again, I don't know if I really want to all those pair now. PJ Washington, I think those are good quality players, honestly. So, maybe, and I doubt it, but maybe he just takes a backseat role, especially in a matchup with Washington. He should be able to crush. Yeah, it's just tough to say it feels like a stance. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a great match. Maxey should be able to go up, but also Daniel Gafford should be able. If we get news on whichever player starting right now, it does seem like to be Maxey. maybe that's the way to, because bigs against Washington, and don't get me wrong, bigs against Dallas is still, but bigs against Washington we still want to. Now looking at Washington, we are seeing Kyle 5 points. Kyle Kuzma is probably going to get a ton. This game doesn't blow out. He's going to be the reason he has gotten a lot more production. Gap, I don't want to say basically 5, but he's playing the 4 a lot. He has had to play the 5. Hagley's going to be active. Only 15 minutes in the last game. Holmes only played 5 minutes in the last game, which again, ugly and shocking. And then Eugene was randomly active in that game, played 8 minutes, and then Gill played 7. Now that game was a blowout right away, but that points to probably just going to keep running out Kyle a little bit at the 5. Means Kispert's going to get a little bit of run at the 4. It's just weird what they're doing, but I get why Data's telling us that the best prop bet of Washington makes sense. Another thing that makes sense with that is Tyus Jones for over his assists at 5. You know, we have kind of a stacking opportunity, I would say. If you want to bet on this game to stay close, and I always say it makes sense. Like Tyus Jones, 7, 9, 9, 8, 8, 6, 7, 9, 9. Like he's just been consistently getting this over assist, and they've been games close enough for long enough. That's the biggest thing. So looking at the spread, I mean, it's 13.5 points. Like, I doubt that they keep close enough. We never know exactly when the probably way. If it occurs only, Tyus Jones getting that over seems kind of, want to say easy, but pretty good. And I would say, again, these two probably. We got 2 more games here, guys. Golden State versus Utah. Utah, nothing too crazy. The biggest issue with them is their minutes with Colin Sexton and even Chris. Looking at the Warriors, they're still going to be without CP3. So for Utah, John Collins has been someone that, this is the only prop that we're getting, but he has been someone that it took a while for Vegas to catch up, or Atkins to catch up Rice and Collins, because he's getting a lot of minutes, and he's always kind of been a booster. And if he's going to continue to play 30 minutes or so in games that are close, I don't mind this over. Like, especially against Golden State, this is not a bad matchup. Now, it's the only one that we're getting for Utah right now, but not terrible. I could talk myself into that. I'm curious as to what his fantasy is, again, because, like, look at his steals. If he gets a steal, not too many turnovers. His PRA's at this, his fantasy score should be high. So if it's close to that, I think that Golden State, Curry has been trying to put this team on his back. That's Kuminga and Draymond Green problems we're getting. I feel like Kuminga's a little bit too high, right? And then the last game, Minnesota versus, and really with both teams healthy, I don't feel the need. So then just real quickly touching on some other sports. NHL, there's only one good prop bet that I really like, and that's going to be Timo for over his shots on goal. This one already naturally has about a 53.5% chance to hit, but looking at the projection data, I really like him to get the over at 3.9, so that is one that I will be targeting, especially right now. NBA-wise, we are getting enough good bets, but not a lot of great bets. I'd be fine with that. And then let's take a peek at college basketball. For what it's worth, I do think we are going to more for college basketball, just because I think there's going to be more games, and right now we're only getting 4 fantasy score props on the day, and you can see that one of them is really kind of staking out, but this is going to be good on both PrizePicks and Underdog, where the day is telling us to bet the under on both sides, but I do want to call out as well, we are getting some prop line differences. Like, we typically should not be getting these again. I do want to show you guys this on Underdog, because this bet, Andrew Carr, is going to be better on Underdog, and so you guys will see as well, we are getting more fantasy score prop bets and just college prop bets in general on Underdog already as it sits, and we are getting some decent EV bets, just pure EV bets as well. It's definitely something you guys should be targeting. But looking at it right now, like Andrew Carr, like this one, very big edge. You can see it's about 2 for a fantasy score difference. The average sportsbook line would have it set at 26. Projection day does like him get 27.5, but all in all, the best people are going to count that. The best prop bets that we are getting is going to be for his Underdog fantasy score. That is a seemingly decent edge. We got 2 right here that are looking pretty well. So 3 really good college basketball prop bets. And really, to go further than that, we are getting more as well. Again, once PrizePicks gives us more college basketball prop bets, we'll be better able to, gauge which ones we're getting edge on. It is worth calling out. We should not be getting into differences like that for fantasy scores. So it is definitely. So Andrew Carr, I think, is going to be good. Underdog bets, and for what it's worth, they keep tossing us out these discounts and whatnot. If there is one available, that's I feel comfortable with Carl. Then I did just do a data refresh here before closing the video, before getting into the bet of the day. One of the better prop bets that we are currently getting is going to be Indika for under his fantasy score, which I do find interesting because he has been getting 30 plus minutes, kind of been a booster, but sure. I think we can use that. Brandon Ingram for over rebounds is a good EV bet. Interesting there. But that's it. Like, we aren't getting at as I would have liked. Again, I gave you guys a bunch of decent ones that by all means, if any of those stuck out to you, go ahead and attack that. That's going into. And so again, guys, I do want to call it. We have a lot of NBA games. We have a decent amount of college basketball games. We are going to get better prop bets, I think, than the ones that I'm currently showing you guys for the bet of the day. So if you guys want access to that cheat sheets, or to those cheat sheets that you saw, I don't know if 95 Sports Stock available for just $10. Included in that is going to be the DFS fantasy. But right now, like, these aren't terrible. If you wanted to use these with the Kyrie Irving discount square, you could. I'd be fine with Brandon Miller. That's a great EV bet with Kyrie Irving. Hopefully that's still guys to be able to use that. Underdog has already bumped that. And then Enrique, I don't exactly love, but I'm going to trust the data. There's fantasy score. Timo was one, about a 53.5% chance to Vegas standards. The projection, like some Jack 9 shots on goal. And then Mark Mitchell for under his fantasy score. Honestly, I know we've been crushing it with our college basketball props and whatnot, and I have a decent base of college basketball knowledge. I was naturally following it more, but I don't know if that's a good prop bet or not, like, naturally. But I think that's kind of honestly why the college basketball prop bets have been so good. Is because you're just blindly trusting the data. It's been crushing it. So nice. So I'm fine. But that is going to be all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Give a like and subscribe if you guys want access to the tools. Head on over to 95sports.com. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.